Let's go through the questions on the DE Addendum form. This is the standard DE Addendum form that everyone will submit unless you have an extraordinary course that should never be taught online. The PeopleSoft ID, that comes from the course outline of record, and that's easy to find if you go into the CNI database. So let's look at that. From the GCC homepage, as usual, you go into faculty and staff, and then you find the resources for CNI right here, curriculum and instruction, but above it, course outlines of record. So for example, if you were going into a credit course, you would choose this link, and then I'll go into English simply because that's my division. I'll go ahead and look at this one, and the course ID is here, 002003. So that is the 6-digit course number that I would want to put into the DE Addendum here. Similarly, I would find the information about when this was approved, September 2023, so 9/23, and I would put that into the date of approval. Division, prefix, and number, ENGL 101, and the name, again, if I'm not certain about it, I would go ahead and take it from there and fill it in. It's an academic course, which means it has a 6-year cycle. Now, there are many academic courses which are CE as well, and they're on 2-year cycles. So for the sake of easy distinction, we call them CE courses, career ed, instead of calling them academic, even though we know that they are indeed full of academic content. These are required by the state, so we have to provide these, the check-in assignment, the DE students are informed of the drop policy, the late add DE students who get till census. Again, required by the state, we have to provide a course with the same standards and quality. We have to have effective course presentation. We have to have the same SLOs as appear on the COR, the same or equivalent assignments as are suggested on the COR, the same quality instructor feedback, and that is something that surprisingly we don't always see. The same testing and student accountability, and the same content and rigor. Again, regular substantive interaction, which is the language from Title V from December of 2022 when it was chaptered in. You have to see a welcome letter. You have to see instructor-initiated contact. You have to see encouragement from the instructor to contact her, him, them, and you also have to establish informal opportunities for students to initiate interaction with each other. That can be through Canvas chat, or it could be through Pronto. They could also regularly use groups if you've designed those for them. Similarly, regular substantive interaction between students in group events and discussions, things like perusal, all sorts of tools and all sorts of designs. Rubrics have to be included. So all of these have to be checked in order for this to be an appropriate online course. These don't all have to be checked. Think about what your instructors actually use of these tools. And if they use others other than what's listed here, include those. If there is a lab component, you have to say yes, and then you have to describe how it will be met online. For diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, this is about what strategies you're going to be using in your online version of the course in order to increase access for students, in order to increase inclusion, in order to increase equitable outcomes. And that's things like project-based designs of assessment or problem-based designs, active learning, making sure that the captions are all accurately closed captioned, making sure that text equivalents for instructional images or graphs are accurate for people who are blind, these sorts of things. So it's not just about changing the diversity of the authors, creators, texts, art, musical scores, etc. in your content. It's also about how you transformed the online version of the course to support that accessibility, that inclusion, diversity, equity, and increasing equitable outcomes in your online instruction. You have to provide this. We can't pass a course that doesn't provide this for students, so there is a way to access that information. If you're using any publisher applications, websites out of Canvas, you have to say yes. So for example, if you're teaching MATLAB or you're teaching AutoCAD, you have to say yes, I'm going to use that. If you're using a Pearson text, you must say yes. And then you must tell us what the VPAT is, the Voluntary Product Accessibility Template for that. So give us a link to the VPAT so that we can understand that you've done your due diligence and you've found out what it is that the product promises in terms of accessibility. Then you have to find out whether regular and substantive interaction will occur and how it's going to occur when you're using that application. How are you going to give feedback? Again, if you are looking at a publisher's application, you do need to tell us how you're going to try to guarantee accessibility of course materials. And this is in part because if students don't have access, they can sue the institution and they can sue us as instructors. Explain how the student authentication is achieved if you take students outside of Canvas. In other words, how do we know as instructors that it is our enrolled student who is filling out or completing the assignments in the publisher application and not someone else? And a student's privacy is protected by the way in which they have to sign on. In other words, is a password required for them to get on? Is it open access? Can anybody get into their account? You must ensure, your division must ensure that students' privacy is protected. And you can write NA if you don't take the students out of Canvas. But if you do take students out of Canvas because of a publisher pack or because of necessary software that you're training them on, you have to say yes, that you're meeting that. And finally, this is one where you have to type out a sentence and you have to make sure that students' grades are not kept outside of Canvas. But if none are used, you have to type a statement saying no publisher learning management systems or other software are used outside of Canvas. And finally, this must be a yes. All right, I hope that will help you to complete.